Welcome back to Teenage Nightmares, the place that drags you deeper into the world of the unknown. Tonight's chilling tale takes us back to Halloween night in 2008, where two friends face a nightmare they'll never forget. So sit back, put on your headphones, and enjoy this Teenage Nightmares original, Halloween Night. Hello, my name is Gerald, and this story takes place on Halloween night in 2008. My friend Carl and I, both 13 at the time, were home alone at my place, handing out candy. We thought we were too old for trick-or-treating, but looking back, I wish we hadn't been so embarrassed. If we had gone out that night, maybe we could have avoided the real-life horror that was waiting for us. A few hours had passed, and it was probably around 10:30. The last trick-or-treaters had come by at 9, so when the doorbell rang that late, Carl and I were both surprised and a little scared. It was our first time hanging out without any adults around, and we'd been watching slasher flicks all evening, so every little noise had us on edge. Carl walked up to the door first, peeking through the peephole. After a moment, he turned back to me, his face a mix of confusion and unease. "There's no one out there," he said. "It's probably just some kids playing ding-dong ditch," I said with a nervous laugh. Carl nodded, but neither of us seemed fully convinced. Trying to shake it off, we went back to the living room and pressed play on the movie. About 20 minutes later, something caught my eye, a shadow moving near the back door. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but then I saw him. He was huge, easily over 6 feet tall, dressed in dark clothes. My chest tightened. I tapped Carl on the shoulder, barely able to speak, and pointed toward the back door. For reference, you couldn't just stumble into the backyard. You would need to open the gate to get in, so he wasn't back there on accident. I tapped Carl on the shoulder, barely able to speak, and pointed toward the back door. His eyes widened when he saw the figure standing there. Slowly, Carl whispered, "Move toward the stairs. We'll make our way to the attic." "The attic?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why there?" "It's the last place he'd check," Carl said, his tone calm but urgent. I followed Carl up into the attic, my heart pounding in my chest. From the small attic window, we had a clear view of the man outside. With the better angle, we saw he was wearing a white Halloween mask, and in his hand, he held a massive knife. This wasn't a prank. This guy meant to hurt us. "Carl, give me your phone. We need to call the police," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. Carl froze, then looked at me like I just said something impossible. "It's downstairs," he hissed. Panic sank in. I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone, so I didn't have one. We were trapped in the attic, and a masked lunatic was outside trying to get in. Just as we were debating whether to make a run for the phone, we heard the sharp sound of glass shattering. Both of us turned toward the noise, dread pooling in the pit of my stomach. The man reached through the broken glass of the back door, his hand fumbling to unlock it. A sickening click followed. He was inside the house. We both knew he would eventually make his way upstairs, so we agreed to stay as quiet as possible, praying he wouldn't check the attic. For 10 agonizing minutes, we listened as he searched the house, opening doors, shuffling through rooms, knocking things over. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. Silence. Like he wasn't just searching anymore. He was listening for us. We did our best to stay still, but after so long, my foot went numb. Before I could stop myself, it twitched, kicking the floor with a dull thud. Footsteps thundered up the stairs. The masked man didn't hesitate. He stormed into the first room, yanking open the closet doors before tearing through the rest of the upstairs. We held our breath, watching through the slats in the attic floor as he searched. For 20 agonizing minutes, he overlooked the attic. But then, he stopped, his head tilted upward. He reached for the attic door. The moment we heard the creak of the hinges, we bolted for the window leading to the roof. As soon as we climbed onto the roof, his hand shot through the window. We screamed gut-wrenching, helpless cries, because in that moment, we knew. This was it. We were going to die at the hands of a masked killer on Halloween night. Carl didn't hesitate. "Jump," he shouted. And I did. We both did. The second we leapt, the man lunged, his knife slashing through the air where we had just been. The fall wasn't too high, but the impact still hurt. Pain shot through my legs as I hit the ground, but there was no time to dwell on it. We scrambled to our feet and staggered toward the street, our breaths ragged. For a brief, desperate second, I thought we had a chance, until I heard the thud behind us. He jumped too. Panic exploded in my chest as he landed, already sprinting after us. We ran, as fast as we could. He eventually caught up to us. The knife flashed in the dim light as he struck first, slicing Carl's arm wide open. Carl screamed, stumbling back. Before I could react, the blade found me. Once, twice, 3 times. A searing pain tore through my body, my legs threatening to give out beneath me. I thought it was over. The masked man raised his knife, ready to finish Carl off, when suddenly, headlights flooded the street. The car screeched to a stop. The masked man froze, startled by the sudden light, then bolted into the night. Dizzy from blood loss, I barely registered the sound of a car door slamming. Strong hands grabbed me before I collapsed. It was my older brother, coming home from a party. He saved our lives that night, but Halloween was ruined for me forever. I would never enjoy it again. The man was caught weeks later. Turns out, he was a sicko obsessed with slasher flicks, trying to become his own real-life horror movie villain. Before us, he had already killed 12 people. We were lucky to survive. To the masked man from Halloween 2008, I hope you rot in prison.